Hey 6-8, happy Thursday. Sorry the video is a little bit late today. I'm having some computer issues, so working on a different computer and trying to get that set back up. Old computer decided to give up the ghost. So anyway, here we are, Thursday, and I just want to read one passage and apply it to my 6-8. And it's verse 14 from chapter 1. It says, "Cursed is the cheat who has an acceptable male in his flock and vows to give it, but then sacrifices a blemished animal to the Lord. For I am a great king, says the Lord Almighty, and my name is to be feared." I just want to look at how this applies to my 6-8 and how our actions, what we do when we're around people who don't yet believe, is either paving the way for them to come to Christ, or it's putting up roadblocks, it's putting up stumbling blocks that'll make it harder for them to come to Christ. And so, one of the reasons we need to have integrity, whether we're with Christians or whether we're with non-Christians, is because non-Christians will see our actions and they'll make a decision. And of course, Christians will see our actions and they will judge our following Christ based on what we do and how we act. But I think we miss out on the higher reason why we do these things. Yes, those two are important, but the number one reason we do these things is because we want to honor God. We want to be the kind of people that honor God. We want to respect God. We want to love God. We want to treat Him the way He deserves to be treated. When He tells us to do something, we want to do it because we want to give Him honor. We want to live our lives in such a way that our lives reflect God, that our lives worship God, that our lives are honoring to God. And one of the ways that we honor Him is by when He says to do something a certain way, we do that thing that way. And that's how we honor God. And if our 6-8 people around us see us honoring God, even when it would go against the norm in our culture, that's going to speak more than if they see us compromise because culture is putting pressure on us. Think about it. Think about how they're going to interpret that. If we weigh out, I'm not raising the roof, that's just kind of what it looks like. But if we weigh culture against God and something is more popular in culture, so we do that, well, then that pushes the scale down, and that makes the scale lighter on God's side. Well, we don't want to be the people who let culture weigh the scale. We want to make sure that God is weighing the scale and that culture is always secondary to what it is that God is asking us to do. But what does that say about your faith when you're around 6-8 people who you're hoping are going to come to Christ and come into the kingdom as a result of what you're doing? If they see you putting more weight on the culture side of the scale than on the God side, that's not going to help them. That's going to be a stumbling block to them. This is one reason we can't compromise our morals and compromise our beliefs just because it's unpopular in culture. First we want to honor God. Like we said, we always want to honor God and lift Him and exalt Him and do what He's called us to do. But then at the same time, we want to make sure that the people understand that our principles, the morals, the truths that we believe are transcendent. They're beliefs that God has given us, and they are overarching over all of life. And so everything that God gives us to do is over everything. So there are no situations where God's truth is compromised, that God's truth reigns supreme in everything. And so if we compromise and we allow culture to compromise our truths, then that says that culture is our God and not God Himself. And so we cannot allow culture, we cannot allow self, we cannot allow selfish ambition, we cannot allow our desires for wealth or our desires to hold on to things like they're dealing with here in this passage to keep us from obeying God. God must be first, ourselves second, or ourselves third, actually, others second, ourselves third, and then culture needs to come way down on the list. The culture plays far too big of a role in how we decide things. The people around us, the world around us, plays far too much of a role in how we make decisions about life. That needs to just be flushed down to the bottom of the list, and let's start making our decisions and our actions and living our lives based on the right priorities, and those are the priorities God gives us. So live those out in front of your 6-8 people, and that's going to have a bigger impact on their life than if you compromise. Try it. Let me know how it works. If you have any problems, talk to me. I'd love to hear about it. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for another tip.